Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast of one of my games here on Lost Temple. This is me spawning as the red Terran player versus KneeHee spawning as the blue Terran. This shoutcast and this replay is brought to you by LU Computers. Go ahead and check out their website for the upcoming two StarCraft 2 tested computers. There's a link on their homepage on the top right hand corner. Now a lot of you guys have been asking me how my surgery went, and I didn't have the surgery last week. I actually was thinking about getting the surgery, and then I realized how much the surgery would cost me, and I think it's going to be close to $2,000, almost $3,000 once you take into consideration all the lab work. So I was trying to put it off for a little while longer, but over the weekend my mouth and my face was just in so much pain, and my friends asked me, hey, what's wrong with your face? And after so many of those jokes, you can only take it for so much longer and say, you know what, I need to bite the bullet and spend the money and get my surgery. And so a lot of expenses for me coming up this year, a little bit of a rant, daughter being born and getting that surgery and eventually childcare. So yeah, here's hoping to more sponsorship and more things like that. Now KneeHee spawning as the blue Terran player over here at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, I am the red Terran player spawning over here at the 12 o'clock position. Now in a Terran versus Terran matchup, one of the things, especially on Lost Temple, you really have to be careful about an early Reaper build. So what you'll notice here is that I actually went for a 12 racks instead of a 13 racks. The 12 racks will allow you to get your Marauder just a little bit earlier. And once you have that early Marauder, you can really hold off that Reaper. That Reaper will not deal nearly as much damage. If that Reaper does try to jump into your base, try to harass you, and if that Reaper does, you can just handle it, and then you can most likely kill that Reaper before it really does that much damage, and your economic advantage will be ahead if your opponent did try to go for a 8 or 9 Reaper. Now you can see KneeHee gonna go ahead and scout in the counterclockwise direction. Normally, I see players scouting in the opposite direction first, but really, they scout in this direction and quickly sees this unit here, and I'm thinking, okay, if it's such an early scout, he may be trying to go for a Reaper, so hurry up and throw down that tech lab and get my first Marauder. Now in the Terran versus Terran matchup, a lot of players think that the game is really based upon the amount of Vikings you have and the amount of siege tanks you have. Just because the siege tanks are so good at ground and the Vikings are so good at air, and the air is so important in terms of being able to spot for your siege tanks. Day 9 did a really good show about the Terran versus Terran matchup, and I try to really take that into consideration in all those games. So Day 9 and Jinro, thank you for this. Thank you for me trying to test out a new build in Terran versus Terran. It was getting kind of stale with constant Vikings and siege tanks, and I really wanted to change things up a little bit. You can see KneeHee now getting Marines. So Marines not getting that tech lab. So not getting an early tech lab really does open him up to more Reaper harassment. If I had decided to 8 or 9 Reaper, I would have been able to just simply destroy him, just because he would not be able to get that Marine nearly, or that Marauder, and a Reaper can easily take out 1 if not 2 Marines in if they're coming in single file. And by the time he's able to reproduce 2 more Marines, I'd be able to continue to produce Reapers and destroy his mineral line. But like I said in previous games, I've been trying to go more for a late game play as opposed to anything else. Also, this is the first game that I wasn't cheesed and I didn't accidentally get dropped. I was playing a really great Protoss game today, but my computer started doing something very funky. Didn't know what happened, and then I lost the game because I got dropped. Back over here, SCV now pulling away. I see this group of Marines, so I know that he has these Marines, and I know that he's trying to save up gas for siege tanks. So he's really going into that siege tank mentality. Also getting that second gas up, probably waiting for that starport. He wants to get that first siege tank in order to hold back any attack. Me, on the other hand, I'm sitting on 3 Marauders, still training up more Marauders, and also producing a starport. Gonna go ahead and do that whole entire tech lab swap. Now the tech lab swap is important just because it allows your Banshees to come out that much sooner. So Banshees will be coming into play, just opening up with Marauders into Banshees. Marauders are not so gas intensive that it really disables your any sort of Banshee build. As long as you have 300 gas going into it, you should be fairly safe. Lift up your starport and go ahead and drop it down. I believe you need 350 minerals. You'll quickly be able to get to that. researching that cloak first and now getting that starport. Already coming in over here, you should see now a starport being put down, and also he moved his barracks and now building that reactor. Not quite sure why he just didn't build his reactor here. This reactor could have been further along, and he could have been able to start training that Viking a little bit earlier. Back over here, you can see me laying down supply depots all around the map in my base, just so I have further sight. I want to be able to see that incoming drop. KneeHee also setting up a very early command center. Taking a look at the harvester count, I'm sitting on 25 harvesters. KneeHee is sitting on 23, so he may have stopped his SCV production, and that is really going to start to hurt him in the end. Back over here, he's sitting at 39 over 51. I'm sitting at 42 over 51. So that harvester count and my marauder army, a fairly decent size. Now getting that Banshee. So getting that Banshee, and I will be also seeing as how many minerals I had, decided to throw down an engineering bay just in case my opponent was going to be going Banshees as well. I don't want to attack with this Banshee until I have Cloak, and now in comes KneeHee with a Viking. So Viking, I'm doing a little bit of chase. I'm trying to pull away with my Banshee. Banshee down to 100 hit points. Banshee moves at a 2.75. Same thing with that Terran Viking. So that Viking will not be able to catch up since that Viking needs to stop moving in order to attack. Gonna go ahead and head back, lay down a missile turret, and also start repairing this Banshee as well. So this missile turret is in position. Viking now just doing some proper scouting, looking for any air units as this barracks is up in the air. And I'm really excited to see this barracks here. Because he has this barracks here, I know that he is not producing any marauders, and marauders are really, really important in this Terran versus Terran matchup. Now you see him use a scanner sweep here, and that already gives me a significant advantage just because he's no longer able to harvest with that one of those mules. So in I come, now getting some more and destroying all those marines, trying to get as much damage out as I can, taking down some of those harvesters. So harvesters getting focused down go a couple more Vikings come in and join the party, and now I lose one or more of my Vikings. He, however, does not scan, unable to scan me, and I'm able to escape with one of my Banshees here. I do, however, have one missile turret sitting in my base, ready to push off any attack, and now I'm going to move out with this large Marauder and Siege Tank army. Now, because KneeHee focused so much on these Vikings just simply melt away at Marauders, especially if those Marauders have stim. I did not get the concussive shell, probably should get that as well, and I think I forgot to research it in one particular matchup, but here I am just moving out. I see this Siege Tank here, move out of sight range of it, and now just going to continue to move on in. Now you're going to see how strong these Marauders are against the Siege Tank. So in comes one blast, right? I just go ahead and move on in, blast away with these Marauders. Gonna go ahead and move on in over here, take another Siege Tank out, and now just move straight into the back over here, force all of KneeHee's SCVs to pull off the mineral line as my Marauders are just shooting away and taking down more and more of these harvesters. KneeHee now down to 18 harvesters. However, he was able to come in with some Vikings, but he's now microing over here, and he did take down some of these supply depots, but lost supply depots, not too big of a deal, will be supply locked, but I still have a fairly decent army being macroed over here. Need to throw down some extra barracks, also have a orbital command center as well. So those Vikings once again joining in to take down this missile turret, and then we'll be able to get free reign in on the space. SCV now coming in. I want one Viking in the air just in case he tries to lift off any any Viking that is on the ground and let him escape. So in trading blows here, 3 Vikings lost for, I believe, 1 SCV and 1 Siege Tank. And so that's a pretty decent trade in my opinion. Now getting more Vikings as well. So now I have 3 Vikings. Vikings are there just pretty much for scouting and still macroing up an even larger army of Marauders. Also getting this orbital command in position to set up my natural. You can see KneeHee now setting up his natural expansion as well, calling down some mules, trying to come back economically, but really taking a lot of losses. I was just slowly pecking away at KneeHee in this game. KneeHee now moving in with a group of Vikings, does a quick scanner sweep, and now in come those missile turrets with those longbow missiles. So the Viking is forced to be just sit over here and not really be able to deal all that much damage. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between me and KneeHee here on Lost Temple.